We got hundreds, if not thousands, of athletes right now competing in pairs to win a medal. And of course, they think it's made of gold, or maybe they don't even care. But nevertheless, did you know that the gold medal that all these athletes are competing for has very little gold in it at all, to the tune of maybe less than 1% of gold inside of it? Of course, that has changed throughout history, and it's all because gold has become too precious to give to these athletes. So let's talk about this. So I want to take a quick minute, share some thoughts. I came across an interesting diagram yesterday, and I shared it on the socials, and the responses that I received from it made it worth taking a minute to share some thoughts real quick. And so as you can see on the screen here, this is just a caption that caught my attention because, of course, there's a lot of hoopla about what's happening in Paris. And of course, we have the wokeness, we got the imagery, and we got the satanic stuff and all that stuff. Okay, sure, that's there to be expected. But from a monetary standpoint, one of my biggest concerns was we have a lot of athletes over there competing for the gold. And even when the idea of winning a medal has always been something to shoot for, the image and the thought of a gold medal has always set, I guess, the different tiers of winning apart from the others, because you got gold, you got silver, and you have bronze. But when you have a gold medal that's designed to be the primary focus for competing and it's not made of gold, I'm sure at the end of the day for those athletes competing, it doesn't matter. But to me, it just goes to show how the athletes these days are getting robbed in the simplest form when it comes to the whole idea of actually competing to win a gold medal. But how can you win a gold medal if it's made of overwhelmingly majority silver? So I wanted to share some thoughts with you real quick. And also, since we're, 2 days into the Olympics, as of yesterday, it looks like the U.S. happened to have won, as it says here, their first gold on day one of the summer games in the swimming relay. So here you have some young ladies holding up their medals. And of course, little do they know that the actual image that they're holding up of the medal is not even gold. And on the screen here, as you can see, these are the actual medals that these athletes are competing for. And in the actual middle, you see the gold symbolic medal, signifying the winner of the tournament. But in the dead center of it happens to be a medal that is not gold, and it's overwhelming with silver, as I just mentioned. And so real quick, I just want to share my thoughts with you, just because gold is important. It's become so important and so precious over the last 100 plus years that they've slowly but surely diluted the amount of gold in the actual medals. And I just thought that was something we're bringing to people's attention, just because it's entertaining, to say the least. But real quick here, I want to share with you just some of my findings that I came across in my studying of the overall history of gold being removed from the actual gold Olympic medal. So on the screen here, as you can see here, I just typed in history of the contents of gold since 1908. And the reason I picked 1908 is because that is the actual date of that medal that we're referenced here when it says that gold was 100% in 1908, and then 2024 is just less than 1%. And so real simple here, I'll give you some of the history timeline here just to show you how this is a slow and steady removal of gold in a somewhat non-important role. But then again, it plays right into the fact that throughout the same time period, gold was taken away from the citizens being able to actually hold in the form of money in their possessions. And then here we are now in 2024 where majority of people rather, don't really understand the importance of gold and how it is money and has always been. And it is extremely important on the international stage, hence the idea of all these central banks racing to grab as much as they can. So real quick here, I'll thumb through this and give you a little bit of timeline for those who have interest. And so as you can see on the screen here, it just says here, I'll give you some context if I can get my screen going together. It just says here, early 20th century from 1908 to 2000 or 1912, it says the gold medal awarded at the 1908 London and 1912 Stockholm Olympics were made of solid gold. This was feasible because gold was relatively cheaper before World War I. And what do they mean by that? Well, before World War I, the world was on a gold standard. Therefore, everybody had gold. Gold was in circulation. Gold, the central banks at that time, or prior to the central bank, rather, here in the U.S., the Treasury was responsible for making sure they had gold. And so gold was in circulation because it was a medium of exchange. There was an abundance for the most part. So it's easy to get your hand on a gold. But of course, we know as time went along and following the Great Depression, gold became something of a problem for the central bank authorities. And so they had to remove it. And then keeping it going real quick, it says here, post-World War I, 1920 to 1936, everything changed. It says 1920 Antwerp onwards. It says due to the increased cost of gold after World War I, the composition of the metals changed. It says post-1912, the metals were no longer made of solid gold, but instead gold-plated silver. It says this shift was necessitated by the economic impact of the war and the rising price of gold. And keep it moving right along here. In 1972 to 2000 says in 1972 Munich all the way to 2000 in Sydney says the design and the composition remained consistent with the use of the gold-plated silver. It says during this period, the medals feature designs specific to each host city, incorporating local cultural elements. So to make the medals look a little bit more appealing, they had them coated in gold, but they were silver at their core. And then they decided to make them more artistic in relation to the cities that they were, countries they were being held in. And then they go down to where we're at this current moment. So from 2004 to present, it says in Athens, the IOC set specific guidelines for the composition of gold. They must contain at least 92.5% silver. So imagine a gold medal that is 90% silver and 6 grams, as it says here, of pure gold, and be plated with a minimum, not pure, but just sprinkled on top, infused into the silver on the surface, a minimum of 6 grams of pure gold. And it says here, the standard ensures a consistent quality and appearance for the metals. So once again, as the price of gold has become somewhat too expensive to give to these athletes, they want to keep the appearance of it being gold and still being associated with a badge of honor because it's the first place medal. But then again, it's 92.5% silver and a coating of 6 grams worth of gold. And so for the sake of laughing giggles, I decided to just do some deeper homework. And I said here, how many athletes were in the 2020 Olympics that earned gold medals, just to get an ideal number? And as of here, it says, according to the search results, 340 gold medals were awarded in 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. And so you take 340 medals and you times that times 20. So $20 would be the equivalent of, just say for the sake of this example here, just one Olympic medal being, it's 0.88 ounces, but we'll just round up for simplicity's sake, just call it 1 ounces. So if you go back to 1908, 1 ounce of gold was the equivalent of roughly, once again, a $20 gold coin that was in circulation, readily available for people to spend because it was money. And so at that rate there, 340 athletes, for example, in 1908, it would have cost the Olympic Committee about $6,800, not adjusted for inflation, just a pure math number. 340 times 20 was $6,800. And to show you what that will look like from the actual monetary chart here, I'll actually go back and look at the gold history chart so you can see exactly what I see here. Let me see here. We have, so here, not adjusted for inflation, just looking at the actual USD amount of gold throughout history. So as of right now, today, we are at 2326, give or take. We got up to 2400. And then if we go back as far as we can go on this chart here, to say just 1915, June, it was $19.25 an ounce. And so because gold has become so precious over the last, say, year for sure, but ever since 1971, when we were taking off the gold standard, here on the chart, you can see 37.88 in January of 1971, all the way up through its peaks and valleys due to the manipulative practices of the bullion banks and the people that are in charge of our money system. But as of right now, we have already broken out in fiat terms to all-time highs in every single currency. And so gold has just become that much more precious than it was back in 1908 when it was actually money, because now people don't really understand the importance of gold. So therefore, as more people become aware to it, it puts that much more pressure on the banks, and therefore the price will continue to reflect the demand. But nevertheless here, if you look at and do the calculations for just approximately 340 athletes today that might be in Paris times $2,400, give or take, round figure, just for the gold, not including the artistic, artwork, the molding, and all the processes that go with putting together an actual gold medal to wear around your neck, you're looking at $2,400 per ounce. And we have approximately $816,000 if you take 340 athletes or 340 gold medals times $2,400, not including some of the extra thing I just mentioned. So we have $6,800, which is a lot of money back then compared to $816,000 today, which is still a good chunk of money. But then again, because of the diluting of the actual gold in the metals, the Olympic Committee gets off cheap because they're just giving them silver. And so, of course, as of right now, silver is around $30 an ounce. So literally, these athletes are winning gold medals, but they're actually silver, which equates to about $30 per medal that they're coating in gold, and they're giving it as a prize to be cherished. And outside of the actual memorabilia of participating and competing for your country, that's what it's all about. about, it's not actually about the contents of the medal, but in and of itself, the athletes are being robbed because the gold winner and the silver winner, the actual contents are roughly the same. And actually, the silver is getting off even better because perhaps they even have 99, they have 0.999 fine silver, which is more than a 92.5% in the actual gold medal. So I just sharing with you some things that caught my attention. Once again, just for the sake of having fun, but that because gold is so important, is they literally robbing the athletes right now. But once again, nobody really cares outside of people who actually know what gold is and how important it is. But anyway, just want to share some quick thoughts. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment. If you found value here, if you found this entertaining as well as educational, hit that thumbs up button, share this so more people can find out what's going on. And other than that, I'll catch you back on some other RTD quick takes. Enjoy your day.